Hello and welcome to the newest TeePee video. The following interview is with the author and meditation teacher Kevin Schoeninger. I had a great time learning from Kevin and how his journey led him to his career. I would say that I was a bit nervous and stiff, so I wasn't the best listener that I could have been, but I was still able to learn from Kevin, and he even gave me an unplanned, unprompted guided meditation that you could participate in. With that being said, please enjoy the video.
Has begun.
Awesome. Well, first off, thank you so much for being willing to do an interview with me.
Sure.
Because yeah. I interviewed your wife like maybe 3 months ago, and she said you'd be a great interview. So, and your son too. He's like, you got to interview my dad. He's awesome too. So.
I love talking about this stuff. So
yeah, and I'm super interested. So, thank you so much. But I'll start right off with what do you do for a living?
Okay. Well, I would describe it generally as helping people with inner training. So how to work with your mind, your emotions, the tensions in your body to release those tensions and transform those emotions and thoughts so that you're more peaceful, healthier, happier, living your meaning and purpose, all those good things. And it really began, by putting together a lot of different things that you might not necessarily think were related. I got a master's degree in philosophy, phenomenology, which is the study of states of consciousness.
Yeah.
And then I worked my way through school as a personal trainer. And so the physical training side. And then along the way, I also began learning Tai Chi, Reiki, Qigong, and so on. So I kind of blended all that together. And
you just sent me your biography before we began this. You said that you went on a quest, if you will, where you went for a long hike. Or could you tell me more about that? And when was that? So was that after your schooling?
So that was between undergraduate school and graduate school.
Okay.
So I took this month-long hiking trip, came out here out west, live in Colorado now. But I was back in Philadelphia, Pennsylvania, going to school at St.
But the hiking was in Colorado.
What's that?
The hiking was in Colorado.
Yeah, so the hiking began in Colorado and then went out to Utah. And,
beautiful.
And kind of circled around, went through Canyonlands and Grand Canyon and Arches and Yellowstone, and
awesome.
Just all those awesome places. And during the course of that month, so I'm exposed to no technology, no TV, didn't read or listen to any news, and just spent time backpacking and hiking through all those amazing landscapes. And what I found was that over the course of that month, my mind just started to quiet down, just naturally. I wasn't trying to do that, just from being in the natural landscape and just spending a lot of time hiking and then just sitting, gazing out at the sky, gazing out at the landscape. I found that kind of the stillness and the silence and the space of the landscape started to work on me. And my mind started to become still and quiet and very spacious. And at the end of that month, I can still, and that was in 1984. Okay, so this is a long time ago. I can still remember exactly what I felt like at the end of that month. That's still with me today, and it's still a state that I really, now that I'm pretty much live from. But at that point, it was something very new for me, just to have my mind be so quiet, my emotions so just calm and peaceful. And I just had this feeling that if I died right then, it wouldn't really matter, because life just continues on. It's just, and
so you lost your fear of death through that experience.
Yeah, so lost my fear of death and this identification with this body and this self that's living here, so that my awareness just kind of broadened out in a way that I learned over time. I came back from that trip and I said, oh, that was profound. I need to learn more about this, because that was
Yeah.
completely new to me. I knew nothing. I was 20 years old and 22 years old, and I knew nothing about those states. So it got me studying Tai Chi and Qigong and meditation and
Mm,
Eastern philosophy, and merging it with my study of Western spiritual traditions and my study of philosophy and so on.
that's such an awesome experience to have at that age. And
Yeah,
once you have that experience where you're like, oh, everyone needs to like,
exactly. Right.
yeah,
That's exactly what I felt. And I also felt that, that was kind of like a glimpse of that, but I wanted that to become the state I lived from, right?
okay.
Not like some momentary state that like, oh, that was a cool experience, but how do I,
And you say that you've achieved that now. You say that you're living in that
so
blessed.
so that was what, 84, so 16 and 21, 37 years ago. Over the course of time, that state has kind of become my background state of consciousness, just that
Mm.
spacious awareness, so that whatever comes up in here, whatever thoughts or emotions, they aren't so gripping,
Or
right?
you must maybe detached, like you're watching them instead of being them.
Watching them, but I'm feeling the emotions and I'm
Okay.
aware of the thoughts, but they exist within this wide space of awareness. So um, they come and go, right? They don't grab me and take me down and where I feel like I'm consumed by them, but I'll feel them and see what information is there and work with them, and then they they flow along. So, and that's been a gradual process over these 37 years of just working with practices like
Hmm.
meditation.
So how long would you say that you've been living in this state? Like that you've
So I would
kind
say
of
it's a
almost achieved
progressive
it.
thing where it's more and more over the years, it just
Okay.
becomes
Okay.
more kind of the dominant baseline
So it's
that,
better this year than a year ago?
yeah, at this point, I'd say probably those year-long gradations aren't so noticeable because
Okay.
the spaciousness is just very present. Um, and but I would say probably there was a lot of change in the first, say, 20 years of the practice,
Mm.
to where it went from just a momentary glimpse that I was like, oh, what is that, to something that I could repeat by doing a practice like Tai Chi or a practice like meditation, to where I'd feel, oh, I'd get in that zone during that practice, but then I'd go into life and, you know, it would be gone, to where it
Ah, I see.
started to, the practice started to extend out into all the moments of my life. So it just became kind of more and more pervasive over time.
And when you first had that experience, did you ever think like that your life would be centered around it? That
Uh,
this would become what you teach and your livelihood?
well, that spark was lit. I would
Mhm.
say the spark was lit to try to understand it and know more about it and cultivate it. So I didn't know at that time that that would become my life's work, so to speak.
Yeah.
But I knew that whatever that is, I want to know more about it and I want to experience more of it.
Oh, well, that's so awesome that you've got to do that. And I feel bad for, I feel like a lot of people have those experiences later in life. And
Hmm.
it's almost in a way kind of too late when they could have had a longer life of just being more present and aware of their situation and just more calm. So that's really great that you were able to start that at 22.
Yeah, and that, then that just started, like I said, different things I was learning started to weave together, and I was able to, for about 35 years, I was, from the time I was 19, um, I worked as a what I call a holistic fitness trainer, where I'd
Okay.
help people with their physical exercise, with assisted stretching and yoga, and then also teach
So you were
meditation.
already teaching and helping people before you even
So I
have
was
this
doing
experience.
that in the kind of physical exercise first.
I
And then
see.
after I had this experience, I'm like, well, I want to make this bigger. It's not just
That's
about the
so awesome.
body, it's about the mind and the heart and the spirit. And it's a complete inner training versus just being the lifting weights and getting stronger kind of thing.
Hmm. And so for that inner training, I know you have a website. What are the specific services that you offer on the website?
Yeah, so right now the primary endeavor is called Raising Our Vibration,
Hmm.
and we have a webpage, Raising Our Vibration.
It'll be linked in the description.
Okay, so raisingourvibration.net, and on there there's a book that I have a co-teacher, Stephen Altair, and he and I co-teach a 10-week meditation course
Okay.
called Raising Our Vibration, a guy that is all about subtle energy meditation. So we'll get into talking a little more about what that means. So we have a 10-week course. We have a meditation app called the ROV Meditation app, which
Okay.
has, I think now, probably about 100 different guided meditations on there,
Oh,
as
wow.
well as a sequence of subtle energy meditations that really lead people.
Could you explain that for me? Subtle energy.
Yeah, so subtle energy, you can think of when you have a sense of kind of feeling really enthused or inspired or vital,
Okay.
and you feel that kind of vital energy in your body, and you're like, ah, yeah, this is a great feeling. That's the feeling of subtle energy or chi or prana flowing through your body.
Mm.
And that energy, which is both biochemical as well as biomagnetic, bioelectric, and scalar energy, flows through the connective tissue network of your body, through the perineural network, as well as through the blood plasma of your body. So it's something that does have a physiological aspect to it, and then it's also the bridge beyond physiology into your connection to the life force, to what gives everything life and brings everything into being. So in subtle energy meditation, we are coming to a felt sense of that subtle energy flowing within the body. And also we come to a felt sense of where that energy is blocked by tension or negative emotions or limiting thought patterns or those things that
Hmm.
can kind of bring us down. So we become aware of those, where those blockages are, and use breathing and mindfulness and relaxation to release those and open up the smooth flow of energy through the whole system. And so it does give you that feeling of vitality and presence and aliveness and connection to others, connection to life. It's also very healthy for the body.
Healthy for, sorry, what?
For the body, it's
Oh,
very,
for the body. Yeah.
yeah, it really helps to release the stress and tension in the system and enable your body to regenerate and repair following the natural intelligence that your body has.
Yeah, I've been looking into that a little bit because just the how really your thoughts can make you sick if you think about it. Because just being stressed and states of constant stress, you develop certain sicknesses and such. So by meditating, you can literally be curing yourself.
Absolutely. I mean, when you think about it, when you have a thought that's a limiting thought, or a thought that things are out of your control or they're too much for you, or you think that things are overwhelming, that creates an emotional state in the body, that creates a chemistry in the body, and that creates tension within the body that restricts blood flow, restricts breathing, restricts lymphatic flow in the body. Just all these natural processes are restricted by tension and
Mhm.
emotion in the body. And so there's a direct link between what you're thinking, how you're feeling, and how your body is operating.
And I feel like we've known as humans this connection between mind and body for a long time, and maybe in the last few hundred years or so, maybe have lost that a little bit. And
because some people would listen to you and be like, that's pseudoscience, and it's ridiculous if they were open-minded to really listen to you. But have you had any experiences with that where people were like,
absolutely.
oh, what are you talking about?
Oh yeah. I mean, when I first started investigating this and then practicing this back in the mid 80s, most people had no idea what I was talking about, and also had this kind of dominant materialist mindset that reduces everything to chemical processes. And you know, we know in our inner experience that there's so much more than that, but we have this thought process that says that this is just a material universe, the body is just a biochemical system, and it's just these molecules bouncing around creating our thoughts and our feelings. But that actually scientifically is not what's happening in the body. We've just kind of bought into a certain
Where do you think it
mindset.
comes from, that materialistic mindset? Where do you think that stems from?
Yeah, well, I think it comes from identification with the body, first of all.
Okay.
That thinking that identification with the body and with the thinking mind, with thinking. So those are two identities that we have that really limit our experience of who we are. And first of all, thinking that you just are this material body that is going to die gives you a certain conception about what life is, and a lot of fear that is associated with that, because this life of this body is very tenuous, right? It's very subject to so many different, you know, injuries, illnesses, and a short time span. So there's a fear associated with that. And then now, and especially these days, I find this so prevalent, is that people are really living in their thoughts. People kind of have this inner narrative going on and believe that that narrative is literally who they are. So these stories that we're spinning in our heads become our identity. And when that happens, we can't experience anything that's outside of the boxes of our thinking.
And do you think that just media, social media, news, do you think that plays a part in that?
Yes, and just, you know, that we are so focused on taking in information, right? We're on a screen, right? We're taking all this social media, all this news, all this information. A lot of the jobs we have now are just information processing, thought-oriented jobs, and the experience when there's so much of that conceptualization going along is that I am my thinking mind. We think, like Descartes said, I think, therefore I am. We think thinking is our existence. And that in itself, if you think about thinking, and if you have somewhere upwards of 60,000 different thoughts in a day, and you're thinking that's your identity, and your identity is just going along with all the thoughts you have, and every thought is associated with a different emotion, you're going to live a life that's kind of very chaotic and very fragmented, and your attention's going to be very fragmented, just pulled by this bit of information, that bit of information, and there won't be a deeper ground of your being, a deeper sense that there's this wider space of awareness within which all of this comes into being. And that's one of the primary things that you experience, not just learn, but you experience in meditation, is this level of being that is free from thinking, that is free from just being tossed up and down by different waves of emotions. It's free from identification with thinking, feelings, and this body.
That must be such a great job to have, because you hear these people that are almost addicted to their own thoughts, and to be able to show them the way and then see them and then thanking you like, oh, you changed my life for the better. That must be just a great job to have. But
yeah, I mean, in these courses where we have 10 weeks with people, And you can, if people haven't been exposed to meditation or haven't really felt they had the experience of that in meditation, when that light bulb goes on and they start to have a moment of quiet and a moment of peace, a moment of calm, a moment that feels like connection. Oh, this is who I am. This is
Oh,
what I've wanted to experience through all those things I was chasing out there to try to have an experience. Actually, this is what I was looking for, was this inner connection that then is also a connection to others in all of life. That's what, that's what we're searching for. That's the experience that we all want to have, that sense of aliveness and connection.
So you're saying instead of searching for whatever that meaning is externally, rather look inward toward yourself, psychologically develop yourself, and use these techniques that you're suggesting.
Absolutely. You learn to connect with a whole different layer of reality, so to speak, a whole different a layer of reality from which everything emerges, instead of just being tossed around on all the things that have emerged, like all the different thoughts you might have or all the different feelings you might feel in a day.
I've heard it being called living in creation rather than survival. So you're living in a state of almost everything you're doing is you're creating, you're starting from a solid, calm baseline, instead of always be kind of panicky, addicted to your own thoughts. Because even with people get addicted to their own hormones of stress hormones, and therefore getting addicted to their own thoughts, and then just constantly living in that stressful survival state. So yeah, the things you're suggesting are just beautiful.
And it really is, as you said, it really is an addiction to thinking. And like an addiction, you need that kind of hit of adrenaline that comes from being anxious. But you don't realize that, and you wouldn't think of it that way. You'd think, oh, that doesn't make any sense. But then you find, oftentimes when people first come to this and they're kind of trying to argue with me about the possibility of this, it's almost as if they're arguing for their addiction. Like they want to keep it so badly that they're going to say, oh, what you're doing, that makes no sense. It's not possible. And really, it's only possible when we just open to the possibility and let go and discover something else. And we discover it within. Okay, so it's not something that that I can tell somebody and intellectually they're going to get it. It's something that they discover by a personal felt experience within that's unmistakable. And
so you can show them the way, but you can't tell them.
You can point and guide and provide an environment which is safe to go there. And then each person comes to that in their own way within their own being.
Just wonderful. And I know that you couldn't say client names or anything, but do you have any experiences that you can share from your clients that have had really, really beneficial experiences, possibly life-changing?
Sure. And yeah, there's lots of good stories.
I'm sure there's plenty.
One in particular has actually started with someone who attended my very first meditation class that I taught back in about 1991. And she had a bleeding ulcer and was on antidepressants, and basically because of a history of trauma and abuse. And she came to meditation, and at first, the experience was she was very fidgety. She found it was really hard to sit still. I see, she was moving a lot and there was a lot of tension, but there was something in her that had drawn her to this. There was a part of her that I could tell was very sincere in wanting to overcome what had happened to her. And she started just in that first little course, just by focusing into her breathing, learning how to relax her body, learning that she could do something with her attention and awareness that would bring some calm and some relaxation. into her body. And even just for a few moments, and just those few moments of relief became something that she wanted more of. Kind of like my experience in the desert, where you have those moments and you're like, oh, whatever this is, give me more of that.
Yeah,
And
we'll
so
explore
she
that.
ended up continuing to she took my Tai Chi course, and then a Qigong meditation course, and then Reiki, and all these different things. As I went along teaching different things, she would take every course. And over the course of time, she got off antidepressants.
Wow.
Her ulcer completely went away, and didn't need to go to therapy anymore. And eventually, became someone who taught these kind of things. So so
This
it's
is so
wonderful
awesome.
when you see somebody have that sort of initial aha and then follow through on it, and really because it's really about the practice, right? You could go to a weekend workshop, or you could go to meditation and have an experience, and that's wonderful. It'll give you a sense for possibilities, but it's really only if you take it up as a daily practice that it's going to be transformative, because these kind of things work over time. A lot of people come to meditation and they sit down and they think they're trying to quiet their thoughts, which, first of all, you're not trying to quiet your thoughts in meditation. That just happens as a result of following the practice. But people, come and they may have a great experience, or they may have an overwhelming experience the first time they meditate. But either way, the only way there's going to be some transformation is if they say, oh, there's something here. And no matter how this feels at the moment, I know there's something here. And if I do this a little every day, it
Or to explore.
starts to expand. It starts to integrate all the different layers of your being. And it's really about an ongoing practice.
Hmm. That must have been really motivating for you as well, to have that experience with her so early.
Oh,
As in, like, oh
yeah,
wow.
exactly. Right. Because when you're first starting to teach something, you're like, well, I experience it. I hope, in some way I can help guide other people to experience something. And then when that happens, it's like, oh yeah, okay, this
Wow, that was so
this
awesome.
works. I want to do more of this.
Yeah.
When you can touch people like that and just be in any way of some assistance, and they're discovering this in themselves, it's awesome.
It's wonderful. So you were saying with some people, they have trouble when they first start meditating. I that they're almost trying to force their thoughts to be quiet, probably with more thoughts. And I have a lot of friends that I suggest meditation for, and they're like, I can't meditate. I've tried it. I just can't stop thinking. Do you have any suggestions for them?
Yeah, absolutely. First of all, it's how you think about the practice. Like if you come to the practice thinking that I'm trying to quiet my mind, that's going to create more resistance in the practice and actually more thinking. So the first thing is that thoughts are something that the thinking mind just does. So you just greet everything, every thought, every emotion, every sensation with the body, with acceptance. Is that's
Mhm.
really the first
Okay.
practice. First you're turning inward, right? So maybe you're closing your eyes, but you're turning inward, so you're becoming aware of what's going on in here. So just turning inward, you may become more aware of what's happening in here, whereas before you weren't aware that you were just caught up in thinking. Now
Yeah.
you're turning your attention inwards, and you're saying, oh, here's what's really happening inside. So that happens. You just become more aware.
So you
But
could become overwhelmed by that,
right.
but
So
you're
the
saying
first
that you
thing
just need to
that we
accept that.
yeah, yeah. So the first thing we teach is to approach everything that arises mindfully, which means pay attention to it in the present moment, non-judgmentally, like with acceptance, with welcome it, um, and just hold that in awareness. So whatever happens, you're just becoming aware of it. That actually is meditating. Meditating is paying attention and becoming aware. It's a practice of training your attention and awareness. So whatever you become aware of, you're meditating. You're becoming more aware. You're in that present moment. I'm aware of this thought. I'm aware of this emotion related to that thought. I'm aware of this tension in my body related to that emotion, related to that thought. So I start to become aware of what's happening, but with acceptance, with gentleness, with self-compassion, with saying, it's all right. All this stuff is going on, and I just hold it in my awareness, and I just observe it, and I just am present with it. Not trying to change it, not trying to stop it. I'm just accepting it. And as we do that, something happens. Those thoughts that we were fighting and not liking and trying to push aside, as we accept them and welcome them into awareness, they start to just float by. And the feelings that were so gripping they might rise, and then we notice that they kind of dissipate. They might rise again, and then they dissipate. So we start to watch what's happening and observe and be present with the flow of what's happening inside. And as we do that, just as a result of that accepting process of awareness, thoughts start to quiet down, emotions start to calm, the body starts to relax. So it's not that we're trying to stop the thoughts or trying to stop, the feelings that we don't like that we're having, or trying to get rid of this tension. We're just becoming aware of it. We're welcoming it. We're accepting everything that arises. And in that process, we start to relax.
That's what it is. That's what it is. I recently had a experience. So I'm recording this for YouTube. I'm making a YouTube channel, and I recently had an experience where I attempted to meditate for a week straight in the desert as well. And I would 100% agree with that. For my first day of the meditation, I have told my friends that you just have to kind of let yourself think. But I was being pretty hypocritical, because then on the first day I was getting really frustrated, because I'm like, I want to get to these really deep levels of meditation I have this week, and I'm just thinking. I want to get to that oneness even. But yeah, I ended up stop meditating for that day, and I was like, come on, what am I doing? And then in the next day, I kind of just let myself think. And in that, I was able to not exactly find what I was originally looking for, but find something maybe even better. So I would 100% agree with that's what it is kind of an acceptance, observational, instead of just, getting really tied into it.
Yeah, and if you have that observational sort of awareness, whatever you're aware of is not you. If you're aware of something, there's something else that is aware of that. You are this something else. This awareness is a space within which thought arises, with feelings arise, sensations arise. But anything you can look at like that and observe is not the essence of who you are, because you are something else who is aware of that. And you start to become anchored in that awareness and just be able to watch thoughts and feelings and emotions and sensations come and go within that space.
So I just have a few more questions. First of all, I was going to ask, I'm always trying to improve, as you were saying that it's always in improving. You're trying to get more and more living in that space. So for me personally, meditating, do you have any suggestions, any techniques that I can implement to maybe improve my meditation?
Yeah, sure. Well, first of all, I mean, there are many different types of meditation, right? So there's meditations that are more physically based, or There's focusing on your breath. What we do in subtle energy meditation is we first focus on the sensations of posture and relaxation, and then the sensations of breathing, and then out of the sensations of breathing, you start to tune in to more subtle sensations of like this life force, this flow of energy within. And through then we start to tune into actually sensation of stillness, like feeling stillness, listening to silence, and feeling the space within which all things arise. So we start with really kind of coarse sensations like physical, body, posture, being aware of your posture, and then relaxation, so being aware of relaxing your feet and your hands and your shoulders, and then the sensations of breathing. So you go into those, and those lead you into finer sensations of vitality, and those lead you into these really subtle sensations of stillness and silence and spaciousness. And so I think if you kind of follow a progression like that, where you just start with, okay, here I am sitting down, I feel the sensations of sitting, right? I feel my feet on the ground.
Mm-hmm.
I rest my hands in my lap. I feel my hands relaxing. My shoulders are down. I imagine a string drawing my spine upright. Tuck my chin. So posture sensations first. And then I just tune in to what it feels like in my body right now, just anything that's happening in my body, my mind, and just notice what is happening. Not trying to make anything different happen, just notice what is happening. And then focusing into the subtle sensations of breathing, being aware of the expansion as you inhale, and the relaxation inward as you exhale. Seeing if you can notice when you begin to breathe in, following the feeling of that, the sensation of that, until you naturally pause. And noticing when you begin to exhale, follow that sensation until you naturally pause. And you can feel that your breath is bringing this subtle energy, this vitality into your body as you breathe in. And it is actually doing that. It's bringing oxygen, which vitalizes your body. Start to feel that vital energy in your breath. And after a while, you're just kind of floating in that gentle rhythm of breathing. And then let go of your breath and feel the stillness underneath all movements in your body. What would it be like to feel stillness? There's a felt sensation of stillness. What would it be like to listen to the silence underneath all sounds? And then feel the space within you and all around you. Feel space. The space within which everything arises. And everything dissolves. Imagine this space is infinite. There's no boundary to it. The space is timeless. It's boundless. This infinite space of awareness within which everything arises and dissolves. And feel the freedom of this. Now, feel your feet on the ground again. Feel your hands in your lap. And slowly half open your eyes. Just feel the space within and around you with your eyes open. This space of awareness. And what would it be like to live from this spacious awareness? This welcoming and accepting everything that arises in this space. Yeah. So,
This was all a plot to get a free meditation guide.
that was an unplanned oh, it's time to do this now.
No, that's great. I like that technique a lot. How it's um still in the meditative state, going from uh, spot to spot where you're changing your awareness, your attention from slowly kind of deeper into the stillness and back up again. Yeah,
Exactly. That's kind of the basic progression in subtle energy meditation is to, like I said, start with physical sensations. Be aware of the weight of your body and your feet on the ground and your hands in your lap, and then go from in your upright spine, and then go from that into feeling the sensations of breathing. And then as those become quiet, start to feel the energy in your breath, the vitality in your breath. And then from there into the stillness, silence, and spaciousness.
I will definitely implement that. I use various breathing techniques, but I've been looking to improve it in a way like that. So thank you very much.
You could incorporate, any breathing technique
Yeah.
into that breathing section, right? And
Mm-hmm.
and then the other thing is, okay, so what do you do? So, those are all cues for sensation, and actually give your mind something to follow. And that's one of the kind of the magic of it is give your mind something to do. And and it gradually starts to let go of thinking. But whenever thoughts arise, or memories or images or emotions, or my back starts to hurt or my neck hurts or whatever, just again to welcome that into the space. Just be aware of that. Don't try to change it. Don't try to stop it or push it aside. Just welcome it, accept it, allow it to be there as you continue to go deeper and deeper through the layers into this subtle, spacious awareness.
Awesome. Well, thank you so much for doing this interview. I got all my questions asked, as well as got free guided meditation, but I did want to ask if you have any questions for me.
Yeah, so tell me a little about your podcast and what you hope to do with this. And
yeah, so I'm doing a few different videos. This is sort of a podcast. I may start a real podcast in the future. I call it an interview, but it usually becomes sort of a podcast as it goes along. But I'm doing vlogs as well as some video essays. But basically, I'm traveling. I'm in Texas right now, and I'm just trying to share my experience as well as kind of things I'm thinking about while it's going along. So meditation is definitely a big one, and I talked with your wife, and her interview is also going to be on this channel. But I talked to her about kind of what started me into this, and I had a few spiritual experiences, and then and this was the beginning of quarantine, and then from there everything kind of just snowballed, and now I'm just kind of living to experience and trying to share as much as I can.
Great. And do you have a name for the channel or for?
Yeah, it's called TeePee. Just Native American TeePee.
Great. How do you spell that?
TeePee. I can send you a link if you.
Yeah, that'd be great.
Yeah. I don't know when the videos will come out, but they'll come out weekly.
Great. Yeah, love to follow what you're doing, and you're on a great quest. I mean, just kind of out there traveling around and
Thank you.
Yeah, on this path of inner discovery and sharing it with others. That's just awesome. So. Yeah, just before we go, can you tell me just about one of your spiritual experiences?
Sure. So, well, basically quarantine started, and when that was going on, I would say that before that I was living in a way where I was just trying to gain the acceptance of others, trying to live up to the expectations of parents, friends, whatever, and that was my whole life, right? I'm a very social person. I'm just trying to entertain, do whatever I can, and then quarantine comes, and I'm cut off from that, and I actually get to a point where I become completely nocturnal, and I wake when the sun sets, go to bed when the sun is rising. So I end up completely alone, where I'm not awake when my parents are awake. I don't really know if that was consciously intentional or not, but I ended up at a point where I was totally alone. And at first I was just on my phone, social media, watching TikToks. But after a while, I couldn't take it, because it was just so much stimulation, so much dopamine. I also have ADHD, so kind of a problem with that. But after a while, I started going on these walks. I'd go on maybe two walks a night, just an hour or so, and then developed into longer and longer walks. And then it got to a point where I maybe had a month where I was waking up, walking the whole night, going home, eating, falling asleep, waking up, walking the whole night. I did that for I'd say a full month, and that it kind of, your story kind of connected with mine on that one.
Just thinking that,
where you slow, like first I was just thinking a lot, then I was getting to the point where I was going through almost all of my memories, just playing them all out, and then it got to the point where the thoughts slowly slow down, and there's almost nothing, and just walking, the movement. And from there, I ended up having some psychedelic experiences that really changed everything. I would say I had 3 psychedelic experiences during this 6-month period in quarantine. The first one where I took mushrooms. I ended up running from the cops at one point, but the purpose of that one was the meaning I got from that one is there was a snap where I was like, I'm awake. Like I felt like something changed. And then from there, I had another experience where I was having some trouble with my parents, and I always had trouble with my parents during high school a lot. I lied to them constantly. I went to rehab at one point. So it just a terrible experience with, I lost all my connection with them, but I had a mushroom experience where I started crying for an hour or so, where I was crying, bawling my eyes out about my inability to accept love. And at 3 a.m. I went and woke up my parents while I was tripping, and told them that I loved them. And then I talked to them about religion, and ended up, sorry, my friend just walking, lost my train of thought. Talked about religion, and I told them every lie that I told them throughout high school. I told them what was actually happening, the truth. The way I went about this was probably not the best. I totally freaked them out because they're like, what is happening at 3 a.m.? But from there on, the months afterward, I was kind of able to repair that. And then, do you know what DMT is, by any chance?
Yeah, I do.
Yeah. I had a DMT experience that really changed things for me. I met entities, and it just blew me away. And that's kind of part of what my YouTube channel is for. Is I've had a lot of just interesting experiences, whether negative or not. I've made so many mistakes, but I've also seen so many almost lies or perceptions that are falsely placed in the society. Like for example, psychedelics. I've abused psychedelic substances for sure, but I've also had incredible benefit that just makes me think like this is illegal. Like it's really weird that there's not more research done or anything like that. And then also I was prescribed with Adderall when I was in rehab. Actually, I went to rehab to get off of drugs, and then they put me on drugs, and that ended up being my worst addiction ever. I went a week without sleeping. So yeah, that's kind of what put me on this train. I feel I'm a lot more healthy now, able to see what's good and bad for me, what's benefiting me, as well as not living for the expectations of others, but rather living for the expectation of myself.
Yeah, beautiful. Yeah. So I haven't had any of those psychedelic experiences, but from what I hear from others, that that's kind of the drive for that is actually kind of a similar drive as for meditation.
Oh, 100%.
You're trying to get out of this narrative of this life that you're trying to get out of this thinking and overthinking and anxiety and whatever. You're trying to have an experience beyond that, right? And
100%. And now I'm at the point where I meditate instead of taking those.
yes, and right. So all the benefits with none of the side effects.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, beautiful.
Yeah, it's been a great experience. Thank you so much for talking to me.
Thank
I'm
you.
gonna love to put this on my channel. I hope people go and check you out as well.
Great. Thank you, Julian.
Yeah. You have a good day.
All right, you too.